menopause wasn't an ending, but a beginning. My guest today is an expert in traditional Chinese medicine for midlife women. If you're tired of pushing and fixing and, well, striving, this conversation is your invitation to soften and to rediscover your natural rhythm. Welcome to the Midlife Reset Podcast. This is episode number 43. I'm your host, Cheryl Gordon. I'm a yoga therapist, a mindfulness coach, and guide to hundreds of women who wish to thrive in midlife. My guest today, traditional Chinese medicine expert Clarissa Kristjansson, shares ancient practices that help women move through this transition with more ease and balance and grace. Clarissa, you are my first guest from the other side of the world, so welcome.
Well, fantastic, Cheryl, and thank you so much for reaching out to me and inviting me to be here.
I
Yeah,
was just so intrigued. I saw your material on Substack and I just loved what you were writing. And I don't know a ton about TCM, but have great respect for it. So I'm looking forward to learning.
I'm looking forward to talking about something that I think is only just beginning
Yeah.
to, yeah, find its way. Yeah.
And before we get too far into our planned conversation, Clarissa, I just wanted to mention we were chatting before we started the record, and Clarissa's undergoing an international move right now. And she's just so calm and cool. I think we could all learn. She says she's going to coach us about living life with more ease and grace. This woman absolutely is demonstrating that right now. So, Clarissa, let's get into it. I
Yeah.
love how traditional Chinese medicine emphasizes balance and rhythm. It reminds me so much of what I might teach as a yoga therapist, the slowing down, the listening inward, learning to respond rather than react. Now, we've both seen how simple daily practices can shift how women experience midlife. I've been one of those women who slam into midlife, burnt out, overworked, and feeling guilty for any semblance of self-care. How different is the Chinese tradition around this stage of life?
That's some great question there, Cheryl. I think, first of all, menopause is seen, or the perimenopause and intermenopause is seen as a natural life stage. So we don't see it as a medical condition, which was something I read the other day. And it's also part of an unfolding journey. So up to the age of just over menopause, so sort of into the mid-50s, women's life is divided into 7 times 7 years. So when a girl is about 7 till we're a women of our mid-50s, our life is divided into 7-year chunks. And each of those is ultimately leading to the other side of menopause and the start of a whole new chapter of a woman's life that is termed the second spring. So I think there is this approach that it's unfolding piece by piece, and that what we do right from the age of 7 makes a difference. If we prepare our bodies correctly, we will have menstruation that is easier. We see puberty as a golden opportunity, postpartum, and the preparation through pregnancy, and very much postpartum. Postpartum is another golden opportunity, and perimenopause is the third. These are opportunities for women to reset their lives, to come back to ground, to balance, and to look at the way in which they're living their lives. And there's a great emphasis on everything rolling through. What we do matters, how we live our lives matter. And I think that is sharply contrasted to us, who kind of, menstruation is seen as something horrific now. I think there's no sort of sense of women's cycles and resting. Postpartum has become, I don't know, no time, now downtime. So many women, particularly in North America, having children and coming straight back to work. And perimenopause, I think, hyped up now very much as a marketing opportunity, but also something to be feared. It's the end rather than beginning of the next amazing chapter of becoming a wiser elder. And of course, we don't respect older people, and aging is something to be revered, to be cared for. So those are really fundamental, traditional differences. And I think they're also there in Ayurvedic traditions and many other Eastern and even African practices and indigenous practices, that this is not a horrendous end, but a real beginning to becoming and having a status in your community that's different.
And I love the terminology, a second spring, because, as an older woman, you have all kinds of terms that aren't so marketing friendly for as you age. But what a great point that culturally, aging and the different stages of a woman's life come with supportive practices. Like I know in yoga class for many years, you would hear if you're menstruating, you shouldn't do certain poses. And I had teachers actually say you shouldn't be doing physical postures or asana when you were on your moon, as we used to say. And sometimes your back would go up. As a North American woman, your back would go up and go, well, that's not going to hold me back. I'm allowed to do whatever I want. It seemed like patriarchal to tell me I couldn't practice asana. But from that lens of those more traditional cultures, it was a way for me to honor my femalehood.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, menstruation is seen as having four very distinct phases in Chinese medicine, related to the flow of yin, the more deeper, quieter energy, and yang. So when we live like that, we eat differently, we move differently, we sleep differently, and we should respect that,
Yeah.
those cycles. And there are lots of simple, traditional Qigong practices that can be done at different times of the month, different herbs that could be taken. And we are supposed to rest while we're actively menstruating in order for the body to have time to shed, recover, and then come back for the next cycle. And we just don't operate like that anymore. We're on 24/7, no sense of stopping or slowing down. And if we do that, we sort of fail. And exactly you said, we think, well, why should I not be doing these asanas? Well, there's reasons for that that are to
Right.
do with the way our energy flows.
And in North America, it's so interesting that, as
Mm.
midlife women who are coming to the end of our menstrual cycle and moving into that second spring, but we have not honored those natural rhythms. I know for me, I was just shocked when I hit menopause and how it felt. I was late to the game. I was 57 when I hit it, and I thought like I was teaching yoga and I was meditating and I was, doing all the things. But looking back, I realize I was pushing for decades more than was healthy. And in order to kind of deal with the fallout of always pushing, and maybe a lot of women listening can relate to this, I was doing what one of my teachers calls buffering. I was trying to blunt the fallout from not honoring my body's natural rhythms. A lot of us do that. We drink a little too much wine. We go out for really rich dinners, because we deserve it. We sign up for a lot of travel, a lot of travel. We
Yeah.
sign up for like hot yoga boot camp or take up some crazy deprivation diet. But all of these things destabilize those natural rhythms and the health that comes with that. Why do these common reactions, like drinking some wine, eating rich food, traveling a lot, working too much, why do they disturb our natural rhythms so much, Clarissa?
Well, I think we are meant to firstly live seasonally. We're
Mm,
meant to follow nature's flows. And the seasons set the rhythm of our energy. So in the spring, we see the rise of yang energy, it's up energy that influences how we should move, how we should eat. As we move into the summer, that's very yang time. That's really the peak of our energy. And then we have earth, which is coming down a bit. And then we go into a yin phase through metal, through into water. So autumn into winter. And they're related to the five elements of Chinese medicine. And when we honor the natural flow and the natural flow of our life, which follows a similar pattern, we aren't as destabilized. But today, don't do that. Today, in the middle of winter, we're eating salad. Cold food is like a no-no in Chinese food energetics anyway. It's not good for the system. So we're out of sync with nature's rhythms, with the diurnal rhythms of the day too. The traditional Chinese medicine clock follows a pattern which is related to our organ systems. It's related to and therefore the different elements of how we're meant to be through the day. We don't take any notice of that. We've thrown that to the wind. Not nature's seasons, and then not our life seasons. So we then have imbalances in the body, and the body then takes sugar and alcohol and other things to try and make up what it isn't getting on a practical and an emotional level as well.
Mm. And this is why I think it's so important to look at the whole system of our experience, like not just I have a physical condition, like, I'm menstruating or I'm menopausal or whatever, I'm this age or that age, but to look at, like you said, the whole system, which includes the emotional landscape.
Absolutely. So in Chinese medicine, when you have a patient comes to you, we look at people, we see their imbalances because that's obviously what's giving them their outward issues. But they're always looked at in relationship to the life season you're in. So some things are inevitably part of going through menopause. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. You will have certain changes in the body. And then underneath that, there's something we call constitutions, and that's how you're made, how you're put together. So you have these different layers, and we have to work with all of that and on an individual basis, not a one size fits all. So in the West, we have a lot of one size fits all type medicine, which, it's fantastic. I'm not here to say you do away with Western medicine. I mean, we need it. The advances we have in some medications, in the treatments of serious illness is totally complementary to a traditional Chinese medicine. The Chinese medicine gives us a better day-to-day living base tailored to who we are and can obviously help support serious illnesses, but the two work really well. But of course, menopause is not an illness. That's the one thing we got to recognize. In Chinese medicine, if everything else was balanced, we would experience what is known as a decline in our yin and our jing. So we would see that the life essence is beginning to decline. We're getting older. And with that comes dryness and heat. Yeah, so hot flashes and feeling dry everywhere is part of that journey. But everything else that women experience is more likely to do with their lifestyle, that we're inconsistent in our diet, that we don't prioritize sleep and rest, that we overwork, that we have too much mental anxiety, and that we often have very inconsistent positive diets. That I think most people know what a good diet looks like, but we don't maintain it on a consistent basis, and we don't honor the cycles of our life. And so we end up with all these extra imbalances that when you're going through such a big transformation as menopause, and it is a big transformation in the way in which energy flows in the body in Chinese medicine, then they will appear and complicate the perimenopause to menopause experience.
It makes so much sense. In Ayurveda, which you mentioned briefly earlier, which is kind of like the Indian sort of version of TCM, it's a natural medicine, holistic medicine approach, very based in nature, following nature's rhythms. But in Ayurveda, we really often talk about how food is the medicine. What are some of the considerations dietary wise that midlife women would be wise to look at from TCM?
So there's actually quite a lot, and some of the main ones are that we want to nurture what's known as our kidney system. So that is our whole urogenitory system in Chinese medicine. It's also related to our bones,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and our hearing. So it's quite interesting. Some of the areas that go wrong as we get older are all related. So we want to be thinking about eating foods that support this. And they tend to be things like pulses, fermented soy products. Obviously, Chinese medicine likes tamaris, misos. There's fermented soy, which we know now have phytoestrogens in them. They didn't know that they were called phytoestrogens. We want to be also taking in foods that have plenty of moisture and collagen building. So you'll often see us take things like snow fungus. It's very popular for people to eat in China. It's a sort of, you can buy it in Chinese stores, you can ask for it, and it's rich in collagen, as very good for our skin. We want
Never
to be
heard of that
eating.
before.
No, it's a funny thing, but it doesn't taste of anything. You add fruit or whatever you like to it and eat it like a pudding almost. You
Wow.
want to be eating foods that are moisturizing. We may be needing to eat foods that are cooling in nature. So not cold food. So in the West, we eat a lot of cold food.
Hmm.
We eat a lot of cold dairy. We eat cold breakfasts. We eat salads. And that tends to be not the case in Chinese food energetics. We eat foods that are lightly cooked, steamed vegetables, stir-fried vegetables. We might eat more soups, a little bit things that are just a little bit more supportive to the body.
Hmm.
Oats is a good food. I know it's getting a bad rap some days, but oats are very moisturizing. So if
Hmm.
you're now going through a dry phase, you want to put the moisture back in to your body. So something like oats. So an oat breakfast is a brilliant thing to eat because
Right. And I've noticed this with a lot of more traditional cultures, including Indian food and others, is they don't have a lot of fresh vegetables like a salad. Everything tends to be lightly or even more cooked. And like you say, a lot of focus on the moisturizing or the oily
yeah.
components of food to help with that dryness.
Yes, definitely. And I think one of the things when we talk about um, eating cold food, the problem with it is that it slows the digestion down.
Right.
And it, because we want warmth in the digestion according to the Chinese system, so that we're moving the food, we're releasing the qi, the vital energy. Food is our major source of that. In life, it's the major source of positive energy into the body. But if the system is cold, it doesn't move. And that, for a lot of menopausal women, and we know that's true from a Western medicine perspective, is our digestive system slows down in menopause because of the changes in our hormonal status. So we don't want to eat foods that's going to make that slower. That's why so many women get IBS. So many
Hmm.
women have a lot of constipation, bloating. So we
Hmm.
want to be on warm, not hot, because hot doesn't work with us having hot flashes and night sweats, which are very common. So we want to keep warm, moist foods in the system.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Fascinating. I love diving into this kind of stuff. But before we go, Clarissa, I just want to mention Qigong because you had talked about it earlier. I know a lot of people have maybe tried Qigong or heard about it, tried it at a community center or something. Can you discuss what this practice is in your experience and why it is so supportive of us in midlife?
Yeah, so I mean, I am a Qigong teacher and I work with women-centric Qigong and I do that because I think women need specific practices because of um, our life stages. And also I think women go through a lot of emotion and working and holding space for women in Qigong without men's energy. And not that I don't like men or don't think unisex Qigong is great, but I think sometimes we have that space, that emotional space for us to grow and release. Qigong is a way to move your body powerfully but gently. And there are many, many forms of Qigong. So we talk about it like we would say yoga. Well, yoga doesn't really mean that much.
Yeah.
Not just Qigong. There are 7,000 different forms of Qigong. They come from different traditions, and it is about moving qi. It
Right.
means to harness and move the qi in your body.
Which
So
is a similar concept to prana in yoga, the life
exactly.
force energy.
Yes. So you can use Qigong. I would say it's not really an exercise form. It's a form of medicine. And you are
Hmm.
helping to keep your body strong, supple, and healthy. And different practices do different things. In the women's Qigong I teach, we are very much focused on things like grounding, on
Right.
creating a sense of being stable and calm wherever you are. We do a lot of work on honoring our heart centers, which is where women are strong. This is
Hmm.
a central part of our body. We also work on releasing emotions like grief and fear. And we have other things that are particularly good for nurturing our uterus and breast areas that are helping with our hormonal flow. And we do other practices that are good for building bones and strength, so that it's an all-round practice. And you can do 10 minutes a day, every day, in a small routine. It doesn't have to be an hour-long class. Those things can be sufficient to support you to feel better about yourself, and give your body a shift. There's a shift in the energy, and you feel calmer, more in control of situations. And of course, there are practices that can directly work on your menopause experiences: hot flashes, sleep. Um, it can help with joints and bones, headaches. So it's possible to use Qigong in that way too.
Therapeutically. And I
Yeah.
love how you said in as little as 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day, you can get your energy shifting and
Mm.
achieve these goals of feeling more yourself. It's the consistency and the intention that are
Yes.
just so key.
Yeah, it's
Clarissa,
so
if someone wants to learn more, how can they follow up on this?
one of the best ways to follow up on this, as I mean, I have a Substack that's
Okay.
very
We'll put
active
that link in the show notes for sure.
in the Qigong. Obviously, if you want to learn Qigong, there are lots of teachers everywhere you live. There are obviously there. I teach Qigong a bit online. I don't teach as much online as maybe other teachers do, but I teach routines and practices that can be supportive for women's needs. My Substack is, as I said, the best place to go because that's where I'm talking about.
Okay. And I know you've got a new project where you're setting up an online platform called Nourish Doc, and you'll be offering
Yeah.
some online support to midlife women.
I will be. Well, Nourishdoc is a global platform. It's not owned by me. It is an Ayurvedic and Chinese measurement platform for women's health. So there's lots of opportunity. I'm teaching on there, short courses, different practices that people can get in there and use. So there'll be coming up things on food, on managing sleep, on Qigong also for joint and bones, so that we can manage ourselves as we go through this big life change of menopause and as we get older too.
Yeah, because I just really want women to take away that there are just these tools that have been used for millennia and they're not that hard and they're accessible. So we don't need to feel victims at all.
Oh no. And there's so much, and that it is so easy to start doing things in your life,
Yeah.
making small dietary changes,
Hmm.
get moving 10 minutes a day.
Yeah.
We don't have to so overcomplicate it.
So, the takeaway today could be that midlife is not something to fix. It's something to meet with curiosity. It's an opportunity to learn more about traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, yoga, Qigong, so many interesting things. When we work with our body's signals instead of fighting them, everything is more peaceful. If you're interested, I'll put the link in the show notes to all Clarissa's resources. I also have a free masterclass called the 5-Step Midlife Reset. This is more based in yoga and mindfulness, but it's also a good place to get some great information. And of course, I'll put that link in the show notes. Thank you so much, Clarissa, for being with me today and to share your wisdom with our audience. Best luck on your move.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
It's been my
hopefully,
pleasure.
I'll see you on Substack. We'll do a live.
Will do. Yes. Thank you,
Namaste.
Cheryl, for inviting. Namaste too.
Hey, girlfriend, I'm so glad that you're listening to this podcast. But I wonder if you wanted to take the work a bit deeper. Would you like to feel lighter, sleep better, and wake up energized again? Join my 60-minute free masterclass to learn the 5 steps that help me lose 25 pounds, reset my body, and finally feel calm, strong, and confident again. You can register on my website, and I really hope to see you soon.